evening. Thank you so much for being with us. This is Get on the Bus, presented by I Am AVL and Salvage Station, filmed on location here at Salvage Station. I'm your host, Caleb Calhoun. We have with us today Gold Rose, Mr. Kevin Fuller, C. Scott, Jackson Delaney, and Phil Alley here with us. Really excited to have y'all here. And y'all are a pretty new band. You have a debut album coming out here in just a couple months. You want to tell us a little bit about the process of that and what you guys are doing with that?
Sure, yeah. This is our first album. We recorded it, produced it, mastering it ourselves. Hopefully, we're putting it out in September, so look for that. Yeah.
And you recorded it in C. Scott's basement. And so you've been, I'm assuming, building up kind of, musicians, right? Like, teach a man to play guitar and he'll be broke forever because he'll buy guitars every day, right? So what kind of equipment have you kind of accumulated over the years? What are you guys using down there?
Well, I started with a standalone recorder, and then I've moved into a DAW-based system. And, I've just chosen to, at those times when it comes to recording, to take that money and invest it in the studio and keep getting more gear and microphones. Like you said, it doesn't end, but you keep getting it better and just making sure that the equipment's not limiting the results.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is it nice to have just kind of the time and the space to do it that way versus paying by the hour for a big studio?
Yeah, you can pick your spots and show up in your pajamas and feel at home,
Yeah.
It's a good way to work. And you can be a little more self-analytical too, so you kind of have to plow through some arrangements and stuff and kind of working out the best route at times, but you're not on the clock so much. So yeah, I think it felt good doing it, and it's just kind of a, like you said, being a young band, it's just a little bit of a process, kind of getting to that end result.
And do you guys road test most of the songs before you record them in the studio? How do you do that? I had Band of Heathens on here. You guys actually opened for that show.
Right, yeah.
And they were talking about they don't road test their songs at all. They take them into the studio and then work them all out right there in the studio.
Yeah.
What's it like for y'all? What's the process like for y'all when you're...
Yeah, we had a catalog of songs. We've been playing for a little while. Songs that had been around for a while. So I wouldn't say they were road tested by design, but more of circumstance. We just had those songs in our pocket. So, but that's an interesting way to do things. Maybe explore that next album.
Yeah. And so you do most of the songwriting, is that correct?
Yeah.
What's your process look like? Is it kind of by yourself? Are you listening to other music that's pushing you into it? Are you going to the woods? Are you sitting down with other people and jamming? What's that process look like for you?
I cannot write songs with other people. I've tried and I just cannot do it. So I do it on my own. And I don't really have a process. A lot of people sit down to write a song, and I try to do that and I cannot. It's more like, it'll come in waves. I will write 5 songs in a row. The songs just come. The content is there, as opposed to sitting down and trying to create content.
Yeah.
So it's not really a process. It's just kind of what's going on in my life. Here's a song.
Yeah. And so with that being the case, this new album, I haven't actually had a chance to listen to the whole thing yet, but what kind of themes are you guys kind of running down? Is it, you have this old kind of outlaw country vibe, this psychedelic vibe, and but what are we getting political? Are we getting philosophical? Is it more day-to-day type stuff? What kind of themes do you guys run down?
I would say just the struggle of life.
Yeah.
The primary theme being sadness. The old,
Yeah, Kevin can write a sad song. I'll say that. But it often feels good. I think that's music's best at, making people just feel better. With me in music, I don't think too hard about the topic. I think when I'm playing music, I try not to think politically or anything else. It's when I'm not playing music, I do. But there's a sensitivity and a purity to playing, to where I don't look at this song's ultra leaning towards this topic or something. It could be, but I don't know. Kevin's the lyricist, so it's more of a lyrical question what you're asking, but I know what you mean. It's, I don't know. What do you think? We're like branding this. It is. There are some sad songs like The List.
Yeah.
We did that one. I mean, there's some.
And it's, it's cathartic, right? Like in our culture where we're not really given much time to mourn. We're not really given much time to cry or to actually like look at the difficulties in life and accept them for what they are. And I think music gives us that opportunity, right? We can kind of fade into a song that is about something that's deep to us, and it allows us to kind of grieve. I feel like as an entire country, we're kind of grieving right now, right? And I think whether you're right or left, like, it doesn't really matter. It's such a divide. It's such a house divided. How do you think music, and y'all's music in specific, can go about kind of addressing unification and bringing people together?
Yeah, we play in an interesting genre.
Yeah.
I would say as a band we probably lean a particular way, but when we play a show, it's not. We have a lot of different people at our shows, and I think that's a good thing. I think a lot of our shows we have a lot of people from the right. I mean, I'm assuming. I'm guessing.
That genre.
Yeah.
That's who. Yeah.
But that's why outlaw country is kind of the cutting edge of all music right now, right? Because Sturgill Simpson's getting up there and singing about marijuana, LSD, psilocybin, DMT. They all changed the way I see, but love's the only thing that ever saved my life. To a group of people that would never hear that from anyone else.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Do y'all see that as like a responsibility then to kind of like use that opportunity to at least subtly kind of create change? Do you try to be more overt with it? Like, how do y'all feel about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we all have a responsibility. I wish that I could write more politically and have more of a political message. It's just something that I've, music to me is coping with emotions, and maybe someday, but yeah, I think outside of that, just taking a social stance. I think one of the most absurd things that I've heard is just this notion telling musicians to shut up and play the music and not have a voice. It's like, I have a microphone. I'm standing in front of a microphone, so I'm going to say what I need to say,
Yeah, for sure. With the more non-political songs, and obviously it sounds like you write a lot of sad songs, so what do you hope is the end result of writing about your own grief and your own pain and putting it out there like that?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I ever look at it as I need an end result when I write a song. I think it's just kind of coping. I've always been a writer, and putting things out there is kind of, it's almost like going to see a therapist, It's like, this is how I feel, and this is what I'm going to say. And there's something so liberating about, I guess, getting up in front of a room full of people and saying those things.
Yeah.
Some of your most intimate, really vulnerable feelings that you have, It's dealing with heartbreak, and you're standing up in front of however many people saying this is how I feel. So, and then you get to the end of that, and it's kind of like taking a deep breath.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So your fans are your therapist. So it's really important that they show up on time for the shows, right? Because, like, it sucks if you go to see your therapist and they don't show up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a letdown.
So, Gold Rose fans, they want you at their shows, and they want you there early, and they want you listening. Let's see. What else? What else can we talk about? What else is going on in y'all's lives? Like, what's driving you guys to write music and keep making music right now?
Listening. I was thinking about that driving over here, and I think people we're getting to where our attention spans are shrinking, and I feel like we could all just do better at just being quiet and listening, just to what's going on. I think we're all just kind of, it's just like swiping up, and we're not really getting too deep in, and music can take you there, So when I'm alone with my guitar, just working on stuff, I'm trying to just bring it down, trying to deepen the connection, keep my feet kind of in path with just a connection, just complete the cycle, keep an energy. I heard a cool analogy of there's an Indian musician who was asked how they tap into creativity, and the response was more or less, the creativity's always there, but it's like ice fishing, you just kind of like open this portal and there's like it's all going that way, and you just kind of connect to that. And we can get in our heads a lot, there's a lot of distractions, so I think I'm conscious of just trying to remember that, day to day, and just hanging out with people, listening to music, and going to see music. Anyway, it's kind of out there, a little vague. I mean,
it's all right. You seem to resonate with that. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think the exciting thing about being an artist is it's kind of a never-ending process. You can always get better.
Yeah.
That's what keeps me going. I feel like I can always get better as a musician, and the process of going through that, I feel, just makes me a better person. You learn patience, you learn how to work with people, being in a band.
Totally.
Yeah.
So I just think it's a whole all-around sort of improving process. That's great. Feels great to be in it.
Yeah. One of the big themes that's kept coming up on this season of Get on the Bus so far is the idea of music being a place where people get to talk to each other face to face. You're talking about, you're constantly swiping, and you're doing this and you're doing that, and you're on Facebook, and you don't even know who posted the thing that you're pissed off about, but you got to leave a comment, and
it's on the next thing.
Yeah, like what do you guys think about as far as how much of an impact do you think it has the more we're able to look each other in the eye versus like doing it over a computer screen?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so easy to hide behind a computer screen and say particular things, but when you're around somebody, you're face to face, you're more thoughtful, you're more civil. I mean, and it's just a better overall transaction, from human to human. And music's the same way too. I think experiencing it live is just a totally different thing. You're talking to somebody, you're hearing something, you're seeing them perform, you're buying an LP, you're buying vinyl as opposed to downloading something, listening to it at your house. Yeah, it's just a better way to do things.
I had another thing that I thought of when he was talking about our attention spans. I had a quote from Patrick Armitage. I'm sure you guys know him. Talking about cover bands and how in the age of Spotify, we've been kind of trained to fall in love with genres. You used to get an album and you'd put it in your car and go on a road trip and you'd listen to it 20 times and you'd fall in love with this album. And now, you get a song and you're like, oh, this is really great. I want to hear 20 other songs from 20 other bands that sound just like this song. How do you think as a music industry you can force people to pay attention to more than one song at a time?
I think it's almost like, it's like building a brand, and I think a lot of people complain about the music industry right now, but I think there has been this shift, and particularly when you talk about outlaw country and Americana, there's a huge shift in how things are happening. I think people are fed up with the way things are going, and I'm not just going to put out a song that someone's going to download. I'm going to focus on what I want to say in my art, and I'm going to put out an album that I want to put out, and that's how it's going to be, and people respect that, and people are starting to show up at shows, and people are starting to buy complete albums.
Mm-hmm.
We're buying more vinyl, we're listening to it, as opposed, of course, everyone has Spotify and does exactly what you just said, but
I don't think it doesn't change the goal, which is just to write and play the best songs you can, and I think that's gonna rise to the top regardless of attention span. I mean, quality is quality, and I think the goal is the same, and it can stand out and attract attention,
So y'all's debut album is coming out. What's it called?
To be determined.
To be
We
determined.
have
That's a great
It's
name.
called that?
Hold on,
That's
just
a
found
great
It's called
name
that?
for an album.
well, we have a working title, but I like to change mine.
TBD, man.
All right,
Mine a
so
lot,
whatever it's
so.
called is coming out here in September. Do y'all see that more as a collective album or a collection of songs?
Yeah, it's I would say to me it's two things. It's a time period in my life, and which
Snapshot.
just happens to be a collection of songs. And we had made a group choice. There's a couple songs that we have out there in our catalog that aren't necessarily I don't know if they don't fall into those themes or sound slightly different that we left off, and just decided to keep it kind of sounding more like a collection of songs and one movable piece.
Yeah. And are they all original? Do y'all have any covers
Yeah.
on there?
No, all originals.
Covers. Speaking of covers, that's a big topic in Asheville right now, right? Is the cover band scene. What do y'all think of the positives and negatives of that? I think it's great, right? For me as a writer, I have written out entire Kurt Vonnegut books. I've typed out entire Kurt Vonnegut books just to feel the way that it feels to type.
Oh,
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I want to create new stuff all the time. Do y'all play any local cover bands at all, or y'all just pretty much doing all the original thing?
I've played in a bunch of cover bands. I feel like, in essence, all music is sort of borrowed. We're all any kind of art. You're standing on the shoulders in a sense of your influences and creating. But yes, I do try to view, because I know there's a lot of. In my past, there's been people who have down-talked cover bands and playing in them and stuff, but I always looked at it as a positive experience, just an opportunity to learn kind of what you're saying.
Yeah.
Just to learn a new way of expression, and you can do something of your own with it, hopefully.
And it can pay some bills, right? You
Right.
don't have to sit
Of
at a
course.
desk or
Yeah.
wait tables
Yeah.
during that time period, Y'all are all you're all living in Asheville, right? Or around Asheville.
Yeah.
Are y'all from Asheville, or what brought y'all? Do y'all feel like this is, in my opinion, I feel like this is a great scene to be working your way up in.
Oh, yeah, lovely.
What do y'all think about Asheville as a musical community and its ability to allow you to grow as musicians?
Yeah, everyone's got their own kind of way in the door with it, but I grew up in North Carolina. I got here right out of high school, and I think most people want to leave where they're from, and I ended up here then, and stayed a few years, but I moved here with a really great close friend of mine I grew up with, a drummer, and we just knew a few people, but it took a while. I went and moved to Boston and ended up coming back again, and it was 3 or 4 years. It took me a while, but it was funny. It happened one summer where I don't know if it was just the intersection of preparation and opportunity, or, but I went from knowing 8 or 9 people to knowing 40.
Yeah.
5. And they were all kind of doing this hustle. The Asheville, when you're staying up late playing music in Buncombe County, you end up meeting a lot of the same people.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's funny how it was just kind of a snowball, and then it's 6 degrees of separation, or oh wow, and then you're just hanging out in someone's kitchen, and it's just this. It feels cool. It's a very authentic connection of characters.
Yeah.
And everyone kind of does their thing.
So you like staying up late and playing music?
Gotta keep the lights on, Gotta keep the lights on.
How weird.
The only time to practice, I guess.
Such a weird thing, dude, that you'd be into that. Music does happen at night a lot, right? And that's another hard thing with Asheville, is we're all working 17 jobs trying to make ends meet. I don't know. Would y'all like to see higher rates at clubs. What would you like to see in the music industry that would make it easier for musicians? Like, what's the number one? Would you rather Spotify actually give you like a reasonable amount of money on your plays? Like, what like simple but difficult thing could be changed that would make this more palatable for musicians nationwide?
So Asheville is such an interesting place. It's so great to be, it's so great to be a musician here because there are so many musicians here that are world class, top notch, and it pushes you. However, Asheville is bizarre because if you look at big cities around the country that have a flourishing music scene, Nashville, New York City, LA.
Minneapolis is coming up hard.
They have such a large population.
Mm-hmm.
And Asheville is, when you think about it, as big as we think it is tiny.
Yeah,
So
just date anybody in this town and break up with them and go to see music and you'll know that.
Yeah. So it's hard. It's hard for us as musicians. It's so much harder. We have to work so much harder to draw because it's so spread thin. I mean, there's so much music in this town.
Yeah.
Like even tonight, if you looked at the lineup, who's playing where, there are
On a Tuesday.
several
There's major
world-class
acts,
bands
yeah.
playing for free. So I think that creates a really tough environment for us in regards to club owners know that it's hard to draw.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to, and I get it, they have to bring people to their establishment to pay their bills, to make money. But they know that, and it makes it difficult for us to make a living, to make money, because those club owners are not willing to pay because of the draw, the lack thereof.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you
So
get caught up
we need
in
more
that
tourists?
stuff,
Is
man.
that
I
what
don't
you're
know.
saying?
I don't know about that. Yeah.
Well, this has been awesome. This is Get on the Bus, presented by Salvage Station IMAV. I'm your host, Caleb Calhoun, sitting here with Gold Rose. I got Kevin Fuller. I got C. Scott, Jackson Delaney, and Phil Alley. We're going to be back in like 20 seconds. It's actually going to be like a half a second because it's just going to be a quick fade on the video. But they're going to be playing some music, and I'm pretty excited about that. So once again, get on the bus. All right, thank you so much for being with us. This is Get on the Bus with Gold Rose. We have Mr. C. Scott, Jackson Delaney, Kevin Fuller, and Phil Alley over here. They're going to play a song for y'all. We're ready for this. Get on the bus. I forgot to say who it was.
1, 2, 1, 2. Another rising sun, another day out on the road. Another stranger's smiling face out in the unknown. We work hard for the things that make us believe. Then they're gone. You're left asking, why did you leave? Oh, Angeline, why did you leave? Fill your face with the water, dropping rose. Then you watch it wither and die. So the story goes. truck is headed out to the junkyard. To meet his maker, I don't know why saying goodbye so goddamn hard. We worked hard for the things that make us believe. Now they're gone. You're left asking, why did you leave? Oh, Angeline, why did you leave? Why did you leave? Oh, Angeline, why did you leave? Why did you leave? Oh, Angeline, why did you leave? Why did you leave? Oh, Angeline, why did you leave?
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Get on the Bus, presented by IMAVL and Salvage Station. This is Gold Rose. I'm your host, Caleb Calhoun. Fucking roar.
It is crystalline entrance, men of weight, feeling heavy, makes me wanna get larger. Victim of destiny,